through the spoken and proclaimed, we may behold you, the living. Speak to you in the name of God, who is Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen. Please be seated. Some words from John's Gospel, chapter 18, verse 36 to 37. Jesus said, "My kingdom is not from this world. If my kingdom were from this world, my followers would be fighting to keep me from being handed over to the Jews. But as it is, my kingdom is not from here. You say that I am a king. For this I was born, and for this I came into the world, to testify to the truth. Everyone who belongs to the truth listens to my voice." Where are you, St. Stephen's? Where are you? I know that this seems like a strange question with which to begin a sermon, but I pray that we will come to see just how profound this question is for anyone who has to live life as we know it in this world. Where are you? Today we observe the feast of Christ the King, or the reign of Christ. And it is the last day of the Church's liturgical calendar before we begin the new year next Sunday with Advent. So when you come in next week Sunday, you can say to everyone, "Happy New Year." Right? In the Church, we live our lives in accordance with the times and events of Christ's own life. And so therefore, the feast of the reign of Christ is intentionally placed on the last day of the Church's calendar as a reminder to us that at the end of all time, the God who is revealed to us in Jesus Christ by the power of the Spirit, the one who lived and died and rose again from the dead, the one who is now seated at the right hand of the Father, the one who is now, even as we speak, reaping a harvest among the hearts of those converted to him, that this one will come again at the end of the time in order to judge the world. And in his appearing, he will reveal to us his lordship over all creation, indeed over our new humanity in the new heaven and in the new earth. And so to place this day at the end of the Church's liturgical calendar reminds us of this fact. But it also signals to the Church, and indeed hints to the world, that life as we currently experience it is like being on a journey. Right? We are traveling from one place to another. There is a beginning and there is an end. And as with any journey, friends, it is important that you have some sense of where you are at any given point along that journey. Because having a sense of where you are not only helps to alleviate any sort of disorientation that you may feel, but it also allows you to know the direction in which you need to be pointing in or moving in or traveling in order to arrive at your destination. So I asked earlier, where are you? Because knowing where you are is important. As Christians, we believe that we are in a world which has been fundamentally stained, fundamentally damaged and distorted by human sin. In the sense that we have truly missed the mark by turning away from the God who is at the very center of our lives and all that exists, and turning instead to our own way. And you may have in mind the image of Adam and Eve, right? It is this turning away from God toward our own sort of selfishness, which becomes apparent in the instances of division and in the instances of conflict between competing powers and authorities which we see among humanity today. This turning away from God and toward ourselves leads to our own self-destruction. You have only to turn on the news or pick up a newspaper in order to hear and to read about the divisions and conflicts between nations and even within nations. There are conflicts and divisions over who has power over which regions of this world. There are conflicts and divisions over the use of the planet's resources. There is an increasing disparity between the haves and the have-nots, between the rich and the poor. And as we look at the past in human history, there are countless instances of religious and racial and ethnic violence which speak to even deeper conflicts right within ourselves. Even when we look at the playgrounds, right, they're no different. We see conflicts between the children who play. We see conflicts and divisions between the young people at the malls, right, in the streets, and even now in cyberspace, there are conflicts and divisions. We see it between spouses in the home. We see it between colleagues in the office. Even along our commute, right, we see conflicts and divisions from drivers who are discourteous, if you will, or because of all the rude and inconsiderate people who use public transit. And typically, at the root of all such conflict is the fact that someone is being selfish. Someone always wants to have their own way and exert their power and authority over someone else. And of course, that selfish person is never you, right? Or is it? Friends, these conflicts and divisions are at the root. They are the result of our human sin. From our own selfish cravings, which James reminds us of, that are at war within us and which turn us away from the living God. But yet, as Christians, we confess that the realm of God's own rule, in human form, has been made known to us in Jesus Christ, and His coming into being even now in our midst. If we want to see what God's rule in human form looks like, we look to Him. So when we celebrate Jesus' birth at Christmas, we witness to the fact that God has intervened in this world in a personal way, right in the midst of the chaotic and competitive powers and authorities. And as Jesus grew, He experienced these conflicts and divisions Himself, between the Jews and the Gentiles, between the Jews and the Samaritans, between the scribes and the Pharisees and the Sadducees, right, between the tax collectors and the religious leaders. And in today's gospel, it is Jesus' proclamation of this kingdom of God which has brought Him into the midst of an ongoing conflict between the Jewish powers that be on one hand and the Roman authorities on the other. And so the context of today's passage is Jesus' betrayal, His arrest, and His trial. That's what we read about in our gospel for today. And so rejecting any sort of kingdom by the sword approach, He goes peacefully with the Roman soldiers. He goes peacefully with the temple police. He is interrogated. He is struck on the face by His own people. He is handed over as a criminal to Pilate, where He is again interrogated. But yet, amidst these competing Jewish and Roman powers, Jesus knew that they had no final or ultimate authority over Him. He says later to Pilate, "You would have no power over me unless it had been given you from above." In other words, the power of Jesus' kingdom, that is, the truthful way of His life in this world, was never in competition with the powers and authorities of the kingdom in this world. It is not propped up by violence or by force, but rather the power of His kingdom comes in the unveiling of all other earthly powers as being false powers. That's what the truth does. It shows you what is the lie. And that is where His power is. It is like that child who is right, laying in their room, in the dark, crying and terrified by the boogeyman standing over there in the corner by the closet, until their parent enters the room and vanquishes that boogeyman with the flick of a light switch, right? And they're like, oh, that was just a coat hanging on the coat rack. And that's how we are sometimes. The kinds of fears that terrify and overpower us and lead us to worry about all the things that seem to threaten our lives in this world. Things like our material security, or our food, or our clothing, or our health, or our salvation, or even death itself. All these powers have been vanquished by Christ's truth about the world. And all the power and authority of those individuals which seems to be rooted in the control of these things has been vanquished as well. They have no power over it. So Jesus, in the midst of the chaotic powers, he demonstrated the truth. And here it is. The true freedom from such powers is found only in freely committing our lives in service to God, that we may be made free to love our neighbors as ourselves. You see, it is a way of life that calls us to lay down our own needs, to lay down our own interests for the sake of those around us. And in so doing, more fully, take up our commitment of following in the way of Christ's own life in this world. Right? Imagine for a moment that as you look around this congregation, that everyone in this congregation was looking out for you. You wouldn't need to look out for yourself. Do you get the point? When we begin to look out for one another, we don't have to worry about self. But you see, this is a way of life that this world refuses to accept. We do it the other way. But yet it is the law of wisdom, it is the law of true freedom, which we are given in Christ, to be lived right in the midst of these competing worldly powers. So James reminds us that the wisdom from above is first pure, then peaceable, then gentle. He says it is willing to yield. It is full of mercy and good fruits. It is without a trace of partiality or hypocrisy. And he says a harvest of righteousness is sown in peace for those who make peace. So knowing where you are in the kingdom of God is essential, because then you know which laws and which powers really have authority over you. You're not governed by Wall Street, friends. Alright, let's just get that clear. Jesus lived in the realm of worldly powers and kingdoms, but yet he also lived in freedom under the ultimate authority of the kingdom of the one who sent him. And so in answer to the question, where are you? Jesus might answer, well, I am here in the midst of this world, yet free to live in obedience to the rule or kingdom of God within this world. And friends, through faith in him, we are invited to this very same freedom of obedience. John puts it this way: so if the Son shall make you free, you shall be free indeed. That's where we find our freedom, in following him. The church, through faith in Christ, is that community of those who have been set free. And just like every other community, the church finds itself living in the midst of the chaos, in the midst of all the other self-serving powers. But unlike every other community, even though we know we find ourselves to be living in the midst of such powers, we have also come to confess that the fundamental orientation, the fundamental direction of our lives, and indeed of all creation, whether it acknowledges it or not, is found in Jesus Christ. That's where we find the north and the compass. So as we listen to his voice, as we vow to follow him in faith in this world, then our very lives will serve as a witness of praise and thanksgiving to him. And in so doing, we witness that we are citizens of the realm wherein he rules. We witness that we belong to the truth. You know, St. Paul uses the analogy of Christians being ambassadors for Christ. And you know what an ambassador does? You go to live in a foreign country, but you know where you receive your powers. You know which rules apply to you. We are ambassadors for Christ, living in this world, but we know the one under whose rule we live. And what makes that kind of witness sacrificial is that it also has the effect of calling into question, therefore, the legitimacy of all other claims to power. The events of today's gospel remind us that in this world, the powers that be never take kindly to you questioning their authority. And think about it. Think of someone that you know with power, and you question their authority. And you see that oftentimes people do not take kindly to it. Where are you? Wherever you may be in the midst of other kingdoms and powers in this world, my prayer is that the present and approaching season of Advent may be for us a time to wait faithfully and patiently for and with this Jesus Christ, who is our present and soon coming